the anchor for undergrad education at Career Launcher. So I work with applicants looking at getting admissions abroad for a wide variety of programs. So today the focus of our webinar remains law, which remains one of our single biggest entity in terms of the number of students who go every year abroad. So just to keep it very simple, I'm going to switch off my video. I'm going to share my screen. I will run you through a short presentation, a pretty structured one with a lot of data points. And then I will switch back my video and then I'll start taking your questions as and when they come. I hope that's all right with everyone. So without much delay, let's get started. Uh, just give me a minute. Okay, so I guess my screen is visible to everybody. So this normally is our agenda. Predominantly students who work with us for their undergrad admissions abroad, they look at applying to the select set of countries where uh, law is preferred or a direct pathway, just in India after the 12th. So the biggest destinations in terms of prestige, reputation remains the UK, followed by Australia. Specific countries in Europe, like Spain and Ireland. And then you have Singapore, and finally US. Now, US doesn't really work out directly for students, high school students, ideally because the pathway to getting a US undergrad degree in law, which is known as a JD, requires applicant to have a college degree. And so you would need to have completed your 12th, you would need to have undergone a 3 or 4 year college degree, whichever part of the world you would like to do that, and have cleared the international LSAT. And based upon your score, obviously, you'll be getting accepted into a JD program, which is considered to be equivalent to an LLB program. So US is a little different in terms of the timeline, in terms of the methodology. But the countries which normally our students apply after the 12th are the UK, Australia, Spain, Ireland, and Singapore. And few of these countries have a specific set of tests that one need to write. Few of these countries, a few of these universities have their own exams, and while the others will not want you to write any specific test, but obviously they're going to look at what standardized tests that you have written and how much have you scored. So we'll kind of cover all of it in a nutshell, and then we will take you through the specific of the LNAT, the Law National Aptitude Test, admissions test, which is like the gold standard admissions test conducted for by Pearson VUE for the best universities across the world. And then obviously how do we at CL help our students who apply to these law programs, and then obviously what has been a track record. So we kind of are going to cover all of these today. Now, specifically, normally students who go abroad, and coming back to the previous slide, one of the things that I would like to impress upon early in the webinar, understand all our students, and this is a standard operating procedure that we do at Career Launcher, all our students who go abroad to study law only go to those universities and those programs which have been granted accreditation for equivalence by the Bar Council of India, which means tomorrow, if you are a foreign trained lawyer or a law student and like to come back to India and practice law, first, you should have studied in a university with a program which is accredited by the Bar Council of India. And second, obviously, you need to give your equivalence programs with few of the Indian universities to ensure that your uh, law degree that you've studied abroad is at par with the 5 year LLB, the BA LLB, which is given in India by the top law schools. So one of our USPs is that we work with students early in their application process and guide them only to those universities and those programs, law programs, whether they are dual degree programs or singular LLB programs, which are accredited by the Bar Council of India. So that's something that's a very basic hygiene factor that we take care, and we've been very, very successful over the years. More in sync with our national leadership when it comes to admissions through CLAT. Now, why the UK is very, very important, or why the UK is the go-to destinations for studying law, the best and the brightest in India, they go abroad. One of the reasons is because the foundation of the UK legal system, which was developed close to 900 years ago, the common law can, the antecedents of the common law could be traced in almost every known modern legal systems across the world, irrespective of their political ideology. To the point that, I've had students in China who said that even the personal law in China could trace some of the roots, which communist characteristics, which have been derived or fine tuned from the English common law. And one of the reasons, obviously, because when, Britain was a colonial power and they kind of ruled a greater part of the world. So obviously, with them, they brought in their legal ecosystem, and that's one of the reasons why there is a lot of interoperability when it comes to uh, studying the law in the UK and obviously the rest of the world. And obviously, the UK is home to some of the most preferred international law firms. So having them in your resume for a career or even an internship is a matter of great prestige that kind of gives you a lot of returns professionally and personally down the line. So, which is the reason why students prefer studying law in the UK. And obviously, students who go abroad to study law, and most specifically in these top universities, are some of the brightest students. They go through a lot of filtration process in terms of getting selected, and obviously uh, it is far more wholesome, and the quality of coursework that you can undertake, the kind of students who you will be competing with, and then obviously the the learning ecosystem, which includes the internship opportunities that you get, the faculties who would teach you, are some of the best in the world, no two ways about it. And so I think that kind of gives a lot of heft and a lot of balance to the very essence of studying law in some of these B school, some of these universities and some of these law schools. And obviously having a UK law degree, not just any university, but at least from the top 10 university, is a matter of prestige, not only in the UK or in parts of Europe, but across the world. And which is the reason why more and more students in India are now looking at studying law abroad. Mind you, most of our students, I would say 65 to 70% of our students who go abroad are also CLAT takers. And they're very clear that if they don't get into, NL SIU in Bangalore or WBJS in Kolkata, they would prefer on any given day, should they have been accepted in the top law schools in the UK or in Australia or even in Spain or in Ireland. So that's one of the greatest things when it comes to cherry picking, which is the best university that you could study. In terms of destinations, like I covered earlier, these are the countries where our students go, the preferred destination. It is not standard admissions, like each country has its own methodology. So the UK, Australia, Spain, Ireland technically are very similar in their admissions process. US is a little different. Singapore is again unique yet different. If you consider university to university, the two top universities in Singapore are NUS and the Singapore University of Social Sciences. So there are different constituents in terms of admissions specific to Singapore, which we will be covering it later in our presentation. So these are the broader six countries where our students go to study law. Starting off with UK, so we've kind of listed out, I think, the top 11 programs according to the QS rankings. And we've highlighted the programs which require a standardized admissions test like an LNAT and which doesn't require a standardized admission test. If you look at the extreme right column, and we've kind of also mentioned the Bar Council equivalents, which have been accredited by the Bar Council of India, which is very, very critical. For example, we normally don't uh, counsel or advise our students to study law in the University of Edinburgh. The University of Edinburgh is a top university in the UK based in Scotland, and it has a very amazing law program. And it's rated amongst exactly after London School of Economics, if I remember the last rankings. But one of the reasons why University of Edinburgh is not here because the law degree program, according to the latest statutes which have been published by the Bar Council of India, is not accredited. So, which is the reason why we don't counsel or we don't prefer our students applying to the University of Edinburgh. So these are the broader universities where our students apply. As far as the UK is concerned, few of these universities do require a standardized test like the LNAT, while the others don't require a standardized test. But there have been increasing instances wherein universities do look at your LNAT test if you've written them, even in spite of you not having, in spite of the university not requiring an LNAT. So writing the LNAT or preparing for the LNAT is a big plus factor as far as the profile goes when you're applying to the top UK universities. Then comes Australia. Australia doesn't require uh, any LNAT or any standardized test. But like I said, students who have got into the top universities in Australia have scored exceedingly well in LNAT. And I can give you a simple reason. The highest scorer of LNAT in our classroom program, live online classroom program, who got into King's, decides that to go to Australia to the University of Sydney. He's got a scholarship and he's going to go for a dual degree in economics and law, which is a 5-year program, and he's also got a scholarship, and which is rated as one of the top law schools as far as Australia goes by any ranking, by any global ranking. It's super prestigious, and he's one of our students from Delhi. And he has the highest LNAT. He had an LNAT of 33, even though he got into King's. Uh, Given the fact that he's got into a dual degree program or for certain personal family reasons, he wants to explore Sydney as an option. He also got into University of Sydney. He got into ANU. He got into Monash. He also got into UNSW, which is again a typical great law school. So, which is the reason why these also are amongst the preferred list of universities when our students actually explore studying law abroad, specific to Australia. Finally, in Europe, we come down to Spain, which has an amazing law offering offered by IE or the IE University. They offer a 4-year LLB program with a dual track with business administration. They have a 4-year dual track, which includes an LLM with King's College London. And then they have a direct 5-year track with Northwestern University, the Pritzker School of Law, which is a very unique program. In fact, here you do 3 years of LLB with IE Spain, and based upon your performance, you have an option of directly joining the second year of the JD program at the Northwestern Pritzker School of Law. So you end up graduating with an LLB from IE and a JD program, the Juris Doctor, which is the equivalent to the LLB from the US Northwestern School of Law. Northwestern University, the Pritzker School of Law, which is rated amongst the top 10 law schools in the US. I accepts LNAT in addition to accepting SAT and IELTS. So I is the fastest growing law school. They have two campuses. One is in Madrid, another one is in Segovia. So you can decide which campus you would like to start off with. And both the law programs are accredited by the Bar Council of India, which makes it one of the hottest destination for studying law English language program in Spain. And another good positive part about studying in IE is the range of scholarship. They have a lot of European law firms that offer scholarship. In addition to that, you have PricewaterhouseCoopers, which has a global lawyer scholarship in form of an internship. So, and many of our students have actually got into IE, not that they're all joining IE, but they have applied to IE and they have got admissions to the dual degree business administration law. Then we have UCD. UCD is University College Dublin, the Sutherland School of Law, which again is one of the fastest growing law schools or a very prestigious law school in, yeah, in Ireland, the capital city of Dublin, which you know is the tech gateway for Europe. And they offered the 4 year bachelor's of civil law program, which could be taken up with economics or it could be taken up with business. It doesn't require an LNAT, but having an LNAT score is an advantage. And this is also accredited by the Bar Council of India. So, as far as English language goes, as far as accreditation from the Bar Council goes, the two best law schools in mainland Europe for Indian students are preferred by international students, I would say. One remains Law School, and the other remains University College Dublin. Now, Singapore. Singapore, like I said, is a small country. It has one of the most prestigious law schools, the NUS, Department of Law, and it has been rated for equivalence by the Bar Council of India way back in 1969, along with Oxford and Cambridge. So you can understand how prestigious it is. And they offer one of the toughest law program, very tough to get in. But the problem for most Indian students is the timeline. The admissions, it's a two-tier process. NUS doesn't accept LNAT, so you will have to physically fly down to Singapore to take the entrance test. And if you clear the entrance, which you will not know for a week to 10 days, you will be called for an interview. And this all happens in which is when most of our students are actually writing their grade 12 specific to ISC and CBSE students, or our IB students are basically getting ready for their finals, which is the reason why most of the students who apply to NUS, they apply in the gap year, which is after you've given your 12th. Now, Singapore also has the Singapore University of Social Sciences, SUSS, which accepts the LNAT. But the problem with SUSS is, though it's a great university, it's a public university, it accepts LNAT, but the SUSS law degree is not accredited by the Bar Council, which is the reason why it is a risk element if you're applying to SUSs, but which is not the case as far as Singapore is concerned because NUS law degree is accredited, like I said, way back in 1969, and it's one of the most prestigious programs. So, in terms of technicality, Singapore is a gray area, but yes, students do apply to Singaporean law schools. As far as the US and Canada go, like I said, they all offer the JD program, the Juris Doctor. It's a 3 year law degree for which you would need to first complete your college degree. It could be in any domain, and then you will need to give your entrance and then get into the university. US law schools will require you to write the LSAT. Depending upon your score and your application, you will be accepted in one of the JD Jewish doctor program. And this is a system that's been prevalent way back from the 60s, wherein the bachelor's of law was removed and the 3 year Juris Doctor was introduced. And this is a common preferential system as far as not only US and Canada, but also in the University of Melbourne in Australia, which again is a top law school. But they offer a JD degree and they don't offer an LLB degree, unlike the University of Sydney, which offers an LLB degree where students from the grade 12 directly can get it. So you need to understand the nuance system as far as admissions goes when you're looking at the best law school. The US pathway careers are very simple. In a nutshell, you do a degree wherever, from whichever part of the world. Many students do it from US also. Then you clear the LSAT, you get a good score, you get into the JD program for 3 years, and then after you complete your JD, you clear the bar, the UBE, and then you qualify for the US bar. For certain other states, if you have a non-US law degree, you can, and you have 2 years of experience, you can get your degree and experience validated by the American Bar Association, and then you can directly take the UBE. So you don't have to go through the JD or the LSAT route. And but this is very difficult to crack to qualify for the US bar. The third is you just write your LSAT and get into a JD degree at the University of Wisconsin, and you directly join the state of Wisconsin bar. You don't have to clear the UBE. So different states, uh, based upon federal regulation, have different methodologies of getting into US. But ideally, students who actually want to get a JD, they prefer the states of New York, California, Alabama, Hampshire, because these are the bigger states when it comes to law practice. So US has a different ecosystem when it comes to law admissions. So what are the tests needed? And though I stated that tests needed for application to UK, please, I would like to impress upon you that LNAT, those required by the UK and a couple of top universities in Europe and even in Singapore, having a good LNAT score is a force multiplier in your application. And that would go a long way in getting accepted not only to a top university in the UK, but also in the top university in Spain, in Ireland, and even in Australia, the example that we've given this year, a while back. IELTS is an English language test. It is not mandatory for applying to UK, but given the fact that a lot of law admissions is based on your ability to comprehend the English language and communicate and write effectively, it is advisable that you prepare and undertake IELTS academic test. And I would strongly recommend it for all students. So what is an LNAT? It's an online exam. It costs about 120 pounds sterling. It is uh, it is conducted in India by Pearson View, and it's conducted nationally. The registration will open up in August 2025 for 2026. And depending upon which university you're applying, for example, if you're applying for Oxford and Cambridge, you will need to take your LNAT by 16th of October of each year, preceding year. If you're not applying to Oxford and Cambridge, you can take it anytime after October, but as long as you take it in November and December, it's perfectly fine. And it's basically unlike CLAT, which tests you for TOTS, which tests you for GK. It doesn't have any of it. It's basically English comprehension, English passages, and these are some of the tough passages. And there are two parts, sections. One is an MCQ where there are 42 questions and each based on argumentative passages. And the funny thing is that there are two answers would look very close to being the answer. So it is always a toss up between two on a scale of four. And section B is an essay section wherein you get an open ended essay. And not all universities will evaluate your essays, but some universities will actually grade them. And some universities will actually read your responses. And these are very reflective essays. So the best part to get trained for LNAT is not just the LNAT paper, but also in your ability to write essays, effective essays. So your writing skills are very, very critical. Now, it is conducted on a scale of 42. That's a maximum you can score. If you get an interview, if you get a score above 28 or 29, you get an interview call from Oxford or Cambridge. But any score above 27 is a good enough score to get admissions amongst the top 10 universities as far as the UK is concerned. And even Ireland is concerned or Spain is concerned, provided the other parts of your application, your essays, your letters of recommendation, your portfolio surrounding law is all intact and all, which gives a wide array of data points suggesting that you're really really leaning on for a career in law given all that you've done. Your months, your online courses, your pre-courses, your pre-college courses, the internships, the job simulations that you do, all of it actually adds a lot of weightage uh, in your law school admissions paper. So, what are the options that you have after completing law? Obviously, the first is you complete your LLB and utilize the graduate study visa that you get there, and you clear the local bar exam. That is one. Second is if you're going to Australia, you complete your uh, LLB, you undergo the 24-week practical legal training program, which is a legal work placement. And once you do that, you get awarded the graduate diploma in legal practice, known as the GDLP. And then you get absorbed in the state law ecosystem. and you will need to kind of do 2 years of internship under a lawyer. Uh, and based upon your performance, you will get an unrestricted practicing certificate, which is known as the UPC. This is as far as Australia is concerned. As far as the other options goes, students actually, many of our law students use the LLB degree as a springboard. Some of them are interested for careers in mergers and acquisition, in venture capital, or private equity. So they end up studying for their masters in finance or masters in management. Many of them also end up writing the GMAT for getting into a deferred MBA program. A deferred MBA program is an MBA program wherein you actually apply in the final year, but you get accepted into and you join the MBA program 3 years, 4 years later. So it's like an early entry option. And some of the best universities across the world do offer a deferred MBA program. So many of our law students do that. And the third option, obviously, is the for the ones who are really, really interested in practicing law. They obviously come back to India. They clear their equivalence test, which is conducted, bridge courses, which are conducted by the NLUs for foreign trained lawyers, and they end up practicing locally. So these are the three options. Either you explore the possibility of practicing law in that country, or you use the law degree as a springboard for their master's later or an MBA later, or third, you plan to come back to India. So these are the three ballpark options you have when it comes to law programs post completion of your law degree. So in a UK context, one of the things that normally, and this is something that's very, very critical, and these are two tracks as far as the UK is concerned. I thought it's better that you get used to it. Normally, the end game, if you're looking at studying law in the UK, is if you want to clear the requisite exam and explore a legal career, then you either end up go the solicitor's path or the barrister's path. So you need to understand the two are different. A solicitor in the UK context is someone who provides legal advice, and these are the ones who are most likely to be employed by a law firm, and they offer a range of legal services. And the work the solicitors does specifically happens outside the court. It is not something that you do inside the court. And solicitors, a very simple reason, you're not supposed to wear wigs and gowns, and you don't represent your client inside the court. So, and solicitor is a very great pathway if you're looking at exploring careers in technology, intellectual property, or even corporate law pathways. That's what we've seen. For example, the mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, the former mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, was a renowned solicitor as far as the UK is concerned. Just an example. Barristers are the cream de la cream of the legal ecosystem in the UK. These are the individuals who are very expensive, very experienced, and they are the movers and shakers, not only in the legal circles, but also the government and the business circle. And these are the people who will actually argue your case in front of the higher authority. They're the ones who wear the wigs and gowns, and they're the ones who crack the solicitors qualifying, the barristers exam to be specialized in bar. And some of the famous figures uh, of barristers in conventional known terms that I could think of. One is Amal Clooney, who's a renowned human rights lawyer, known internationally. Another one is Cherry Blair. Amal Clooney, incidentally, before being George Clooney's wife, was one of the world famous lawyer, barrister. And Cherry Blair is the wife of uh, Tony Blair, the former Prime Minister of UK, who herself was one of the renowned barristers. So these are two specific pathways that you need to be accustomed with when it comes to the UK. One is the solicitor's pathway, and one is the barrister's pathway. Now, there's another thing that you would need to understand as far as UK is concerned, and that's one of the reasons why students go to the UK, which is to explore the pupillage. Pupillage is paid internship. So after you complete your LLB, chances are, if you prepare early and undergo a rigorous interviewing process. And many a time students apply to 20, 21, 22 internships with the top law firms as far as the UK is concerned. And if you get selected, then you will be given and paid internship for 1 year into 6 months equivalents. One would be independent, one would be under a senior solicitor or a barrister, and you will be paid a decent amount of money to perform or intern in law. This is a paid internship. And if you perform really well, chances are that you would be absorbed by one of these top law firms. So, one of the reasons why students go abroad is they would like to have a shot at a pupillage. And according to the Bar Standards Board, if if any law firm is taking a law student as an intern through the pupillage route, you are expected to pay 17,152 pounds sterling for a year to take care of the person's living expenses. So normally this is a very competitive process, and one of the reasons why students go abroad to study law, and specifically to the UK, is they would like to have a shot at a pupillage. This is very unique as far as the UK is concerned. There isn't any methodology of pupillage as far as Spain goes, as Ireland goes, or even Australia goes. But pupillage is something that's very unique to the Great Britain, and which is one of the reasons why students go to study there, because they would like to have a shot at a paid internship with one of the top law firms, which are known as the Magic Circle or the Silver Circle law firms as far as the UK is concerned. And these are globally reputed. So, what are the Magic Circle law firms? It's an informal term. It's basically a journalistic term, just like the Ivy League of the five more prestigious multinational law firms in the UK. And they also called a Silver Circle law firm. So one of the reasons why students go abroad, specifically to UK, is to ensure that they have a shot at an internship with one of the Magic Circle and a Silver Circle law firm. They are very, very prestigious, and these law firms are based not only in the US, in the UK, across Europe. They have a huge presence as far as United Arab Emirates or Dubai goes, and they have a huge presence as far as Singapore goes. And many of these law firms also have great India practices, because they are not supposed to practice, or they are not allowed to practice in India, which is the reason why they have their India practices based out of Dubai, or based representative offices based out of Dubai or based out of Singapore, and which is one of the reasons why students prefer going abroad, to have a shot at an internship with one of the Magic or a Silver Circle law firms, which are very, very prestigious. So that comes down to how can we help? Normally, it's very simple. We conduct live online training programs for LNAT and IELTS. This is location agnostic, and this is conducted all around the year. And in addition to that, I work with students in application consulting, which includes helping your child with the essays, with the LNAT essays, how to build a profile in terms of what are the things that you will need to do as a part of your portfolio, selecting the right set of programs and the universities and the type of programs that you should be looking at, helping you with your applications, scholarship applications. If you are selected for Oxford or Cambridge, you will be called for an interview. So we also train you for that. And then obviously we assist you with the visas also. This has been our performance for 2025. Our lowest has been 24 as far as LNAT goes. Our highest has been 33, which is the highest in India. And our students have been interviewed by Oxford and Cambridge this year, like every year, but they have not cleared the interview. So, which is the reason why it doesn't come across as a formal admit. But the rest of the names that you see, these are all the universities where our students have secured top admits. In fact, in King's College London this year, we have five students who have been selected. They have been selected for the direct LLB, and they have been selected for the LLB in partnership with NUS, which is first year in UK, second year in Singapore, and third year back in UK. So that kind of gives a very strong frame of reference when it comes to our capabilities, when it comes to getting students admitted to the top law school programs in specific destinations which are known for direct pathways in law. So that kind of concludes my presentation. I'm sharing the contact details of my uh, of the head of international education, who's based in Delhi, Deepak. You can get in touch with him. There is a form that is being shared in the chat box. You can fill in those forms should you need a one-on-one with me or with anybody from the Career Launcher team. We'll be more than happy to assist you with the pre-counseling if you're indeed looking at a law prep program for your child. So I'll switch on my camera now, stop my presentation, and I will take your questions should you have any. Anybody, do you have any questions that I would need to answer? Please, you are free to unmute your voice, and you can kind of pose in your questions here. I will do my best to answer them. Anybody? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hi. I'm Shreya's father, Satyajit. Just wanted to understand if there are any scholarship opportunities, especially when you are studying in UK. Like, are Indian students eligible for that?
Yes, there are scholarships, but let me also tell you the percentage of scholarship is very, very less, and they're super competitive. I think in terms of the countries which are very scholarship friendly, Australia, Spain, and Ireland. Specific universities in the UK do give scholarships, but universities that give scholarships specifically for law undergrad students who are international students, the percentage is a little lesser, and they're super competitive. And if you consider the percentage offtake in tuition fee, that's on a very minimalistic side. So yes, there are scholarship, but they would not be as heavy as what it would be for a student who's studying engineering or student who's studying medicine. That's that.
Okay. And from a cost perspective, I don't know if you covered it or I missed it, but some idea about like what would be the cost, like if we are going to either like UK or Ireland.
Uh, see, Ireland would be a 4-year degree. Uh, Spain also would be a 4-year degree. UK would be a 3-year degree if it's a generic LLB. So you're looking at something between 1 to 1.2 CR, depending upon the duration of the program that
Okay.
you are looking at. And that includes not only the tuition fee, but also the living expenses. So all of it put together, that's what it would be. It would
Okay.
come up. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Any other questions? Anybody?
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Ananya. I'm not sure which group to choose for 11th and 12th, which will be best for CLAT, LNAT, and all. So, which do you
Uh,
think would be best?
it could be anything as long as had English. This year, our highest LNAT taker studied science from Heritage,
Oh,
and and he's beaten. It's a he. He's beaten almost all our students with a 33, and he's got into some amazing law school programs. And in fact, he had applied to one of the universities that was offering a dual degree in genetics with law. So, and he also had given his NEET. So I guess there isn't any bar in terms of what you should be studying in school. It's your interest. So that is a great thing about law. It reflects more on your ability to construct argument and debate effectively, and we have seen that it is not any board agnostic. Sorry, it's not any board specific. It's not that you just need to, just because you're going to go to the UK, you need to be studying your ASA level. You cannot go there from a state board, or you cannot go there from an ISC or an IB board. Absolutely not. And you can take any combination of subject that pleases you. It's not something that's very specific.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Hi, Rajat. Hi, Harsh.
Hi.
Harsh this side. Just want to understand because your session is more focusing on the international options for the law students. What about the Indian options? Yes, we do understand there are national law colleges out there. But other than that, would you like to give some kind of highlights like, the private universities or other than the national law colleges? What other options we have?
Uh, I mean, to be very honest, there are lots of private universities that offer law, and there are some very big names. I don't want to take their names, and I'm sure there's going to be a separate session for that. But this is something that you need to understand as a parent. Uh, a university, a new just because the university is a big name and it is in one of the big cities, doesn't make it a great law program at the end of the day. So you will need to understand when you assess Indian university, a private university, or even a state university, what has been the track record of the students who've got out of that university when it comes to
Yeah, the placement.
the
I think
last,
the
yeah, with the last 15 years and 20 years. So if you go by logic or if you go by data, oh, and this has been a bone of contention when I talk to many parents. Would you send your child to study law at the University of Nagpur? Trust me, 99% are going to say no. They're going to say, no, I would want my child to study in OP General or a WBJS or an LSIU. But if you go by data, are for whatever reasons, good, bad, and ugly, all our Supreme Court senior lawyers, a huge number of them have come in from the University of. So it's I would say it's a very difficult question to answer. At the end of the day, I think you would need to look at uh, the law program from a private university or a national university of India in terms of uh, what is the level of selectivity that they kind of employ. It should not be just because you give an entrance, whether you get a 98 percentile or a 2 percentile, you're given an offer. And just because you can afford it, you send your child over there. The question is what next? Because the what next part plays a very, very critical part. So I think one thing to look at is obviously if you're looking at studying law in India, you would want your child to crack the CLAT, get a very good score, get into a decent university based on his or her preferences. And I would think in that context, even if your child gets into a very good government law school or a government law college rather than a private expensive university, uh, I would still recommend that you keep that as an option. I think that answers your question. But what are the best law school programs as far as the private Indian universities go? I think there is a separate session for that that will be conducted by our CLAT product team. I would make it a point that you attend that, and Deepak, you can make a note of Mr. Babbar, and you can give him an invite. I would recommend that you attend that for a greater understanding of your comprehension of the private universities. In Mumbai, you have the BITS Law School, you have Euler in Goa, you have all kinds of different universities which are coming up with law. But the sheer effectiveness of the program in terms of building up law as a career is something that you would need to look at a 10, 15-year frame of mind in terms of what have the students who graduated out of those colleges done. I think that makes more
Yeah,
sense.
that is the that's the concern because
Yeah.
when you say this data of last 10 or 15 years of placement, whether this data is available publicly or how we can get this data. We know the parameters which where
Yeah,
how
it
we
is.
can.
It is because you see, there are some universities for them. The selling point is that our students, after they complete our LLB, they go down to the best universities abroad for their LLM and everything. Great. Is that a data that you would like to refer when it comes to if you're sending your child to a law school program? It's because you would want your child to be trained in law and have a career to get started. And obviously, he or she would take masters over a period of time. So I think that's the data that you would need to look at. So when you're looking at a university, any university, the first question you would need to ask is, look, I don't want the data of the university of students who have graduated from your college and gone to Stanford or gone to Georgetown or got to NYU for their law. Great shakes. That's not my frame of reference. My frame of reference is what is the quality of students who graduated out and where have they been placed and what is the career that they have had. And I'm sure they will have 5 years data, 10 years. I think that's something you would need to keep an eye on and ensure that you actually assess the program properly, because what happens is in this process parents get fluxumed by the other points of the data. So you're shifting your goalpost. Rather than looking at your employment data, you're looking at other kinds of data. So that kind of gives a convoluted picture. Oh, students from this school have gone to Stanford. All right, great, they've gone to Stanford for the law program. How does it help you, or how does
Yeah,
it
that
help your
was,
child?
of course,
Yeah.
of course, of course. The
Yeah.
brand doesn't mean that,
Mhm.
that we have achieved something. So it's all about the placement in the career, what are
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
options
That
available.
that's very. By that
Yeah.
logic, would you send your child to the University of Nagpur to study law or the government law college in Mumbai? You're not going to do that. So I mean, so you need to kind of understand that data properly and then decide. I think that's something that's going to be taken up by our CLAT product team. They keep doing that, and I'm sure your reference has been noted, and you will get an invite. I would recommend that you attend that. And they have an amazing presentation backed by huge amount of data. Given the market leadership that CL has, I think you will they will be in a better position to give you an objective answer to that. Okay.
And I believe the CL will help in filling up the forms.
Yeah, yeah,
The
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely,
Basically, I
absolutely.
just want to understand is, whether these colleges are having the NRI quota or NRI seats, if we
I
can
think they
try
would be
through
the
that
right
route.
person. Some schools have that quota, but I
Okay.
think the CLAD product team would be in a better position to assist you with that.
Okay. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions that you would have? Anybody?
Sir, good evening.
Okay. Yeah. Good evening. Tell me.
Yeah, I'm Ayush's father. Is there any kind of scholarship for going abroad, like Oxford University in UK?
Yeah, the universities do give scholarship, like I covered before, but there
Yeah.
isn't a full scholarship, and there
Okay.
isn't any full scholarship for Indian students because India is not considered to be a developing country anymore, and
Yeah.
it's pretty expensive. So there are some scholarship given by some foundations or even by the British Council, but these are super competitive and they don't cover the entire cost of studying law abroad. So you will have to fund your way through personal resources. So answering your question, is there scholarship? Yes, there are. Is it enough to fund the education? No, it is not. It's a very small amount of money that they give as scholarship. So you will have to find ways of, you know, uh, your private financing for your child's education.
Right, sir. Is there from any government of India?
Yeah, Government of India, there is certain scholarship, but I don't think they cover up for undergrad law, and there are a lot of political connotations to that. So I would not be in a proper way to answer that convincingly. I think we will need to check that up and get back. But
Right,
there
sir.
aren't any Government of India scholarship for full studies in undergrad law. There isn't.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions? Fair enough. So
Hel-
thank you for your time. Yeah, somebody
Yeah.
interrupted. Yeah, tell me.
Hi, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. Tell me.
Yeah. Sir, yeah, you might have got lots of questions about scholarships. I get that. But there is something called financial aid option in UK universities.
That is
Something more you can.
a very, very small amount for law. The
Mm-hmm.
two universities that give very big scholarships for international students, irrespective whether they are studying law or any other subject at the undergrad level, is the University of Warwick and the University of Manchester.
Mm-hmm.
Beyond that, if you look at the law scholarships, which cover not more than 10 to 12 or 5% or 8% tuition fee waiver. Now, my question is if any parent is going to partake 95% of the tuition fee, I am sure he or she is able to take 5% of the tuition fee. The 5% scholarship waiver is just a namesake scholarship that they give. But there aren't any full scholarship or a full financial aid for studying law as far as the UK is concerned abroad, substantially. So that's one thing you would need to be very, very clear about.
Yeah, Oxford's coming up to 75L per year. 2 years from now with inflation and all that.
Yeah, I mean, like, see, that's what I said. But the point is that if your child gets into Oxford, I think what you spend is what you recoup a year or 2 years after you graduate. I mean, first thing, anybody who clears Oxford is the upper crest. And most students who graduate out of Oxford get accepted by one of the law firms. So obviously, that's the way to look at it in terms of the investments that you make towards an education. So
Yeah,
that's the
thank
best way
you.
to look at it. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Deepak, any other questions you might have?
Yeah, I have one question. Sorry
Tell
that
me.
I joined late. How competitive, assuming that one can afford Oxford, how competitive is getting into it, and what
It
exactly is the
is
criteria?
super, super competitive.
Hmm.
You would need to be amongst the top 10 percentile of LNAT takers across the world. And you will be given a very difficult interview process, which is what we have seen over the years. And one of the reasons why not many Indian students make the cut as far as Oxford is concerned is ideally because the level of reading and the passages that one needs to undergo is not something that the Indian education system, even the IB education, actually exposes your child to. That is one. But having said that, the difference between Oxford or a King's or an Oxford or a Bristol or an Oxford as a Glasgow is very, very marginal if you're looking
Hmm.
at law as a career. So students who graduate out of King's also join, the top law firm as students. So when you're actually looking at LNAT, you can apply to either one of the top schools. So you obviously apply to an Oxford or you apply to a Cambridge, but along with that, you also apply to the top 5 universities as a part of your application process. And then you kind of evaluate what is the best possible shot that you get based upon your LNAT scores and based upon your other parts of your portfolio, which is also very, very critical when it comes to your application.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Fair enough. So I guess it was a short presentation. I guess it came in very handy. I hope so. And the form is there. You can click on it and you can get in touch with Deepak. He will be more than happy to schedule a session for you. Thank you very much on a Sunday evening. This was originally scheduled for a Sunday morning, but we had to move it on an evening. So have a pleasant Sunday evening and a great week ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.